Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 7th episode of the Fans of DC Universe podcast, the only DCU podcast for the fans by the fans, and the best source for all DC Universe news and discussion on everything DCU. Our super leader, Nathan Payson, is unavailable at the moment, but we're hoping that he'll show back up. He must have had a great vacation. But all of us here today are me, Toonatonian, Legionnaire, Donnell, and the amazing Mel. We also have a guest. Hi. Yeah, well, introduce yourselves, everybody. Donnell.
Oh, hi. Yeah, Donnell here. And don't forget, we've got Aquaman C-137.
That's right. Yes. And we have Aquaman C-137.
Howdy, y'all.
And I don't know if she'll join us, but we'd absolutely love for her to join us, is Mel's sister, Nora.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nora.
Hi. We're so glad you're with us. It's so great. So something neat about this podcast is we're actually all at the same location. We met each other at the Chicago Comic-Con. So all of us DCU fans said, hey, if we can stop by after the con and do the podcast, we will. So, yeah, identity is revealed.
Sort of.
The mask is off.
That's right, That's right.
Apparently, y'all have a restraining order against me.
Well, Aquaman C-137, you've already posted your picture several times.
I did put it up once.
Yep.
We appreciate it.
Is there a picture of me in the chat, or is it okay if we just take Mel's picture and then copy and paste it? We are identical twins.
Perfect.
We could, yeah.
Well, again, Nora, it's nice to have you back from Japan. How long were you there?
I was there for 1 year.
Wow. Well, we could almost do a whole podcast just on the Magna and all that. So.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm really excited to be back, mostly because DC Universe is actually blocked in Japan. So it was region locked, and I was unable to access really any of the really great services on this platform. So I'm super excited to be back and finally catch up on all the DC Universe shows and comics. Because I'm always crying to her about it, and she's like, I haven't seen it, and I can't see it. I'm like, well, okay, we'll talk about it in 6 months.
Yeah, that's definitely brutal. That would be brutal. We're glad you're back.
Yeah, thanks.
Why were you in Japan? Was it work-related?
Yes, so I was there for 1 year teaching English at a Japanese high school.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, it was a time. It was interesting. But like I said, I'm glad to be back, and Mel's been telling me a lot about the server, and I'm excited to finally kind of get to meet people, and I guess this is my debut in both the server via the podcast. Yeah, she's talking about how great it's to be back because of all you guys and DC stuff, but not because she loves her family and she's happy to be home. I love you.
Oh, I see. Here we go.
It's totally
You're my
understandable.
favorite sister. Your only sister. True.
Aww. Okay, so what's everybody been reading this week?
That's a good question. Let's see. What have we been reading? Certainly, I read the Legion of Superheroes with Bugs Bunny. That was a great comic that we had for the Legion reading.
That does sound like a great one, and I'm surprised I missed it. I work at a school, and it just got busy again, so I totally missed that, and that's one I would have joined in on because I like it when they have other fun cartoon characters join in. I'll have to go back and revisit that on the boards.
Now, is this...
Oh.
We keep... Go ahead.
Oh, all right. No, I was going to say, Nathan, when he hears this, is going to be like, why didn't somebody write down all the new comics that were posted this week like we should have? But there was some nice stuff with Detective Comics and Lois Lane in the 60s, as well as stuff like Justice, etc., Flash.
Well, yeah.
Green
Yeah,
Lanterns,
they
things
did.
like that.
Yeah, I see a Harley Quinn and the Batwoman 2017. Is that new this week, or is that just new in general? I hadn't noticed her before.
Well, there's a section there of new this week. Aquaman C-137. Do you have that at your fingertips?
New comics.
Right, for this week that were just digitized this week.
I actually just jumped over there to look at it to lend a hand. Hold on one second. Let's see.
I'm pretty sure that the Batwoman has been there for a while, the 2017, but I think maybe the last issue of the current run was just digitized.
Yep.
I think there are a few things that were just finishing up.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm kind of excited about is they're starting to add more of the old House of Secrets, House of Mystery. I'm interested to see them start to kind of digitize and add more of those not necessarily superhero comics, like more of like the horror, maybe some of the romance or comedy stuff. You know, I feel like that's something interesting that I kind of want to check them out and see like what that's about. 'Cause
You know, we're gonna get along great because I am excited about those two, and that's one that I just did when they released it, the House of Mystery and House of Secrets. That's one that I did start reading. I see digitized comics this week, but that is one that I did go ahead and start reading digitally because I'm still, I like the paper comics, but I'm getting used to it, and that's one that I am enjoying. It is a good series.
yeah, recently I have been kind of like how I tend to read comics is I tend to just like pick like a character and just like kind of go through chronologically. So I just got finished up my big Shazam binge, my big Captain Marvel one. So I started from as early as they have on DCU and kind of just finished up with some of the more recent stuff before they rebooted into New 52. So that's what I've been doing. So I'm kind of like waiting for a little more of a backlog to build up with the House of Secrets, House of Mystery to get back into those. I have not decided what I'm going to do next, though. Like which hero I'm going to tackle.
Well, I know Aquaman C-137, you've been real busy with school starting up here for you, with what you're doing. Have you had a chance to read much? I know you got the Batman Club going.
Yeah, that's actually the only comics I read this week. I was kind of busy doing school stuff, and one of my marine biology professors, she does like work with shark brains, which is super cool, but not really comic related. But I'm looking here at the stuff that was posted or came up this week. It looks like Injustice Year 2, number 71, Batman 2016 53, Aquaman 2016 number 39. Green Lantern 2016 53, Harley Quinn 2016 number 48, Batwoman 2017 number 18, Wildstorm 2017 number 16, Damage, I don't know what that is, Damage 2018 number 8, and New Challengers 2018 number 4, and some other ones, but I'm not sure if those are from this week or from last week.
Cool.
Sounds like a good list.
Yeah.
I think we do well. And as I was saying last week, it's amazing we don't have more celebration every week when we come out. It's just it's exactly why many of us joined on, is to be able to get these comics weekly and maybe not even buy real comics after a while.
Yeah, and for the one I read this week was the Legends of the Dark Knight, the third installment set story, which is Prey, and it's pretty good. It's with Hugo Strange, and there's some super funny panels of Hugo Strange in like the Batman suit. It's pretty funny if you get a chance to read it.
Yeah, no, I think it's great you guys took that on. So now we have a book club for Wonder Woman, for Superman, for Batman. I think that's neat that the three are all covered like. Well, do you want to move on and talk a little more about your day at the convention, Toonatonian?
Well, sure, absolutely. Yeah, so come up here and go to the Wizard World Comic Convention, and today was day 2. I got to talk to one of the cast members from DC Daily. So that was an amazing experience. Does anybody know who it was?
No.
Sam Levine. So I
Oh,
actually
no
got
way. You saw Sam. He's here, huh?
yes, he is. And actually he's doing a Cards Against Humanity event tonight with, I think it's Holly Marie Combs from Charmed, the original Charmed. Otherwise, he said he actually would have loved to have dropped by. So that would have been great. And
Oh, my
we
gosh.
might get to, yeah, and tomorrow he's going to be at the convention, so we might get to chat with him then. And anybody else that's a DCU Daily fan, you should definitely congregate around Sam Levine's booth and see us at the con.
Hey, Toon,
Nice.
what kind of stuff did you talk about with Sam?
Just real general things, nothing particular. That's why I get real nervous and shy. And I started to realize today that he really is a likable, normal guy. And we talked about, Swamp Thing was done and how everybody was trying to, a lot of the fans were doing the hashtag Save Swamp Thing, and the DC Daily Cast, they wish they could do more because like they hear us, but that's what they do. They don't have that kind of power to like make this really amazing, probably very expensive show continue, even though they want to. And even like the work that he had done in the past, like Freaks and Geeks, which I think Aquaman, you were a fan of. He said he loved it whenever the fans all wanted to save that show and how great that is and how good it feels. But sometimes there's just nothing that can really be done for anyone because it isn't really one thing in particular that makes things like that happen, no matter how much you want it. It's a bunch of things that happen. So, yeah, but that was just a little bit that we talked about. So, yeah, that was really cool.
That's cool. Yeah, the whole saving shows, I think like it's kind of interesting because now you tend to see a lot more like shows get picked up for seasons after they've been canceled. Like we very own Young Justice got picked up like what, 6 years later?
Something like that.
Yeah, about time. Like, but that one's like a special
Yeah.
case, really, because that one was never really failing in ratings. It was just kind of an outdated model of toy sales. So, like, it would kind of like a perfect storm happen to bring it back for a season 3. But then, like, now it's kind of like this weird thing with the streaming wars and everyone's trying to get as much like original content as possible. It's kind of in this weird place where they might pick it up or they might not. And it's just, I think it's weird because I feel like fans have more power than they used to be able to save their show, but also not really as much power as it seems because really the only ones I can think of are really special cases, stuff like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Young Justice, really. One Day at a Time, too. Oh yeah, that one got picked up as well. But for the most part, really, there's all you can do is hope that
Well,
maybe there's some executive that just really likes the show and wants it to continue. Well, I feel like it's a
yeah,
little
well,
in the
go
case
ahead.
of sorry. In the case of Young Justice, we see it because it's a DC property, originally airing on Cartoon Network, which, they had a partnership with DC, but the characters and the show ultimately fell under the DC license, the DC media, so that when they brought it back on, of course, the DC platform, they were able to do that. I think it's a little harder for another streaming site to pick up something like Swamp Thing, which is a DC property from the DC-led streaming program. So, yeah, because I know like with Young Justice, it was canceled by Cartoon Network, but DC wanted to keep going. So that's why that happened. But if it's being made by DC and on DC's site, then I don't know, maybe the HBO Max thing that's coming out, that might give it a boost if people really like it. And who knows? I mean, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
and
give up.
like Lucifer, that's one of those that like gives the fans like that flicker of hope where we're like, well, it could have more than what it does if someone really wants to be like make it. But it's the same thing you're saying, if they really want to make it, they will, right?
Yeah.
But Lucifer, there we go, the Vertigo.
Well, the other one that comes up, I was thinking Aquaman, is Krypton, right? So you and I did all these watch-alongs, and then it goes and gets canceled. And then you find out it had less than 400,000 viewers live.
Yeah, it's such a bummer. I kind of don't even want to talk about it.
Maybe a month.
Yeah, with the Swamp Thing situation, I expressed like on one of our earlier podcasts. At the very least, I really hope they do like a Firefly situation where we can get a movie, whether it's live action or animated, something to better sum up the story of what they were trying to do. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, like a closure. Like it doesn't have to be like I have not finished Swamp Thing, so I can't really say much about how if it ends satisfyingly or not. But I always think like, if they could get like a maybe a short movie to kind of just like wrap up any loose ends that might have been kind of just hanging out there. And they definitely have the power as, their own streaming site to kind of play with the format of the media that they produce. So if they decide to, I think like a shorter movie style thing would absolutely be possible and could be a really fun way moving forward of fleshing out various universes within, like, I guess, the DC universe. Well, it's like how they do the DC animated movies. Like they could do something like that to like wrap up something like Swamp Thing, except live action. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it could take any media form that they can do to kind of go ahead and keep it going or finish it up, right? Like we want something. Give us something.
Now we're going to do a shorter podcast than usual tonight. Some came by train and need to hop a train pretty quick here. In fact, I hear it now. Anyway,
And some of us, yeah, we walk around a con all day or driving all over the place, right?
yeah, I know. I get money home.
So to our listeners, everyone's just really tired. So that's probably the best TLDR. Too long didn't listen? TLDL?
I definitely
You're right.
to check with Toonatonian. Was there anything else today that stuck out you wanted to tell us about?
Well, I had, of course, whenever Comic Cons aren't like swarmed with people, what do true fans say? Well, it really wasn't about that anyway. It was about the comic books. So in true fandom form, I definitely went to the comic book tables. One I had been thinking about since last year because there were several like old issues of Shazam and some great like key issues of Spider-Man last year that I watched other people take, and I was like, oh no, you go ahead. This year I was like, I'm gonna go back and look at those and take what or buy, not take, politely peruse and buy what I want. I'm not gonna watch comic books I really wanted walk away right in front of me. So I went over and looked through stuff and found another table that was great and got quite a few, great issues, like older things. So, yeah.
That's so much fun. I really do love, like, kind of finding those hidden gems at a con. Like, just, like, finding, like, the old stuff that maybe other people don't necessarily, like, realize is interesting or valuable. Nora's laughing at me right now because she's remembering last time I was at a con, I ended up picking up a VHS tape for this original pilot episode of an anime we looked it up, it's worth over $100 and the guy sold it me for $10. $10
Oh, yay! You won that one.
It was. So it's like not even just about the money, but just about the thrill of like finding something like, oh my gosh, I know what that is, and nobody else knows what it is. It's meaningful to me, and then just being able to get it.
Yep, exactly. That's what there's one. It's I'll have to actually look it up and see what it really is. But I'm like, the front page of it was all torn. I think it's like one of Joker's, like it says like first issue because he had a lot of like really old like ones. So I was like, oh, this is great. Even though the cover's like it's still there, but it's like completely torn. I was like, still, like when am I ever going to see this again? And then I'm like, but everything's going digital. Why am I holding out? Because I still like the paper. I want it. Because, when will you ever see it again? Yeah.
Right,
So Aquaman C, have you been to a convention before?
No, I never have. So, like I've told y'all before, I'm from like one of the small islands off the coast of North Carolina, and you have to drive like 2 hours to get to a mall. So conventions just didn't really come my way.
Cool. Well, I've only been to smaller ones. So, like, my wife and I have been to, like, the Ithacon and the Rochester one. But they're small potatoes compared to whatever on earth's going on here. So, it should be interesting for us.
And, speaking of finding, like, little treasures with like comics, and you mentioned like $100 in the price range. Toon or like Don or any of y'all, if you see it's a comic book by Image Comics. It's like one of my most favorite comics in the last decade. It's called Seven to Eternity by Rick Remender, and it like the art is
definitely heard of it.
Dude, the art is amazing. The story is fantastic. Like the world building is just so unique, and the art is just really beautiful. But like, so I discovered it this summer, I think, and I just bought it in like volume forms. And apparently, it started in like 2016, I think, and the first issue has like skyrocketed. Like the first print, first issue has skyrocketed to like $120. If you guys find that, I will. If you find it for under that price, I will send you the money if you guys can snag that.
Yeah, so I mean, sometimes that just
Cool.
that happens a lot. Like I remember back in high school during the old Stephanie Brown ban, when things were out of print and they were slowly ratcheting up the price. Like being able to just go dig through a shelf and find like an out of print comic for like what it shouldn't be normally priced for. We'll keep an eye out for that one and hopefully find one for you.
Oh yeah, Nora was able to pick up a Stephanie Brown before they started doing reprints, like one of the trade paperbacks for like $20, and then we found out that they were just ratcheting them up in price because they weren't reprinting them.
But luckily Stephanie Brown's back in continuity. Woo! Finally.
Well,
Yeah, it's always such a delight.
I'm thinking we probably are at about the. So I'll let you, whatever we normally do to close this up. Do you have anything? Probably not. Huh? All right. Well, I'll just say thanks everybody
I
for
got
joining us.
it.
Oh, you got it? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I got it here. So I think that's probably all the time we have for tonight. So if you like this podcast, please let us know what you thought. We are on YouTube and SoundCloud now. And of course, we're on Google Play. And very soon, we'll be on the Apple Podcast. So we'll see you next week. Bye.
A good one, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me,
You
y'all.
too. Yeah, anytime.
Definitely.
Bye.
It was good talking with you guys.